Our next speaker is Josh Osias. Josh has a passion for outdoor education. Since graduating from UC Davis, he has worked out in the field leading adventures and guiding students from all backgrounds to understanding environmental concepts and conservation. He brought his experience and passion to the program to work on the next stage of his career in education. I think Josh and I met in Sacramento in, I want to say it was 2018, for a California Ocean Day, which is a lobby day that happens every year in Sacramento, to advocate on behalf of important coastal and ocean bills in California. And we were on the same lobby group. And then maybe it was the following year, we had brought a bunch of students from this program up for the lobby day. And he started talking to some of the students and was like, Samantha, I think maybe I'm going to check out that program at Scripps. And I was like, you should come, Josh. You should do it. And we're so glad to have him here. We're glad you took the leap. Josh always sits in the front row of every class that I teach. He asks questions the whole class long, which I love. A lot of times I meet those questions with questions back at Josh. And it all sort of makes sense, right? He is engaged, he's keen, he's curious and eager, and he's genuinely invested in education and understanding more and building that understanding. So it only makes sense that he would do the project that he has decided to do this year and that he'll be presenting today, which is entitled Bring Oceans into the Classroom with Mr. O, Video and Supplemental Materials for High School Marine Science Classes.
Welcome to Oceans with Mr. O. Let's get started. For today's lesson, we'll be exploring the making of and the behind the scenes of Oceans with Mr. O, a supplemental materials package for high school marine science classes. My thought process was, if we can't get students to the ocean, how can we get the ocean to students? Marine science is especially challenging to teach in the classroom. Through my experience and network, I have learned that there is a need for educational materials and support with teaching marine science. Oceans with Mr. O will focus not only on trying to link educational components to the ocean, but also to showcase the beautiful scenery of places worth studying and protecting. The goal is for teachers to use these videos and resources to help inspire future students and ocean conservationists while also educating them. There are many barriers preventing people from equal access to the ocean. It is especially challenging for schools to take field trips. So I created Oceans with Mr. O modules because videos with educational connections are the next best thing. I combined my passion, my outdoor facilitation experience, my strengths and personality, as Samantha mentioned, and my skills that I learned in this program to create something to help expose those students to ocean and stewardship. Because of the high operational costs, many teachers do not have opportunities to introduce their students to the coast in person. For example, in 2019, it would cost over $1,000 for a San Diego Unified School to take a bus full of high school students to the beach. To further depict the challenge, I made a map showing the distribution of high schools in Southern California. Each wave of color, starting with green, moving away from the coast, is another 10 kilometers, or 6.2 miles, from a beach access point. As distance increases, so does the field trip cost. Some high schools in San Diego County are as far as 90 kilometers from the coast, as you can see in the light brown. What makes Oceans with Mr. O different than other educational videos is that it will align with next generation science standards. Next generation science standards, NGSS, encourages students to explore natural phenomenon and learn about core concepts through questioning, using cross-cutting practices and core ideas. All schools in California have adopted NGSS in 2012. While some schools have fully embraced them, others, most notably high schools, are still far behind. By 2023, all schools will be expected to fully align with NGSS. Working with these videos can make aligning with NGSS more appealing for teachers to use in the classroom. I broke my project into many steps. This is just a simplified version of how my project went. But naturally, like any filmmaking process, it's not linear. Many of the middle steps had to be repeated and rearranged because of weather, availability of assistance, timing of feedback, lots of technological challenges, and partner contacts. In order to make sure I was filling a missing piece and a need for schools, I created and distributed a survey to my networks of marine science, biology, and other high school educators. From the 58 responses I got, I learned that a third of the schools are over 30 minutes from the nearest coastal access point, and many of the network I surveyed are within San Diego County. It was fairly common that videos are frequently used as teaching tools in high schools, as you can see on the map on the left, asking how do you utilize videos in your lessons. And over half of the schools currently require NGSS curriculum, as seen in the graph on the right. There was also an open-ended question about what teachers would like in the videos to show their students. The main themes that I noticed were teachers wanting videos to demonstrate seeing science in action, representing multiple communities of people, and asking high-level thought-provoking questions. Given the current restrictions, I chose 2 local topics: tide pool adaptations and watersheds. These are screen grabs from the title scenes in both of those films. Each module is accompanied by a supplementary resource guide that connects talking points made in the videos with NGSS-aligned lessons. Additional further research links and discussion questions are also in the guide. There's also an image gallery for helpful hints. Now, I know you're all waiting to see, let's take a short sample look at one of them. We're here at the headwaters of the San Diego River with my friend and former coworker, Stephanie Gijon. She's here with a bunch of students today to talk about what makes the watershed special.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Gijon. I am a preserve steward, which is another way to say I'm a volunteer that works in the backcountry of the San Diego River. Simply put, a watershed is an area of a land where water drains into. So things that fall from at the top in higher ground drain into a basin, into a channel, and everything that it's around that channel, it's the watershed. Everything that we do in higher grounds will affect things in the lower river, areas where people live and services that people need in order to survive. Clean water, clean air, sustainable habitat, and all of that. So on hindsight, you might not think that things that happen in the mountain have an effect on what happens in the city life, but everything is connected, right? Things that happen in the upper river will affect what happens in the lower river and gradually into the ocean.
Can you reason through what would happen if humans developed areas like this and around the headwaters? How would the San Diego River and other river watersheds react to that? How would it affect our oceans? Humans have a history of building cities near waterways. We all need water, we know that. But they also choose to develop in environments that are not necessarily best adapted for humans to live in. Check out how the San Diego River has been channelized here by concrete. It has totally changed the way this river flows. How do you think it's going to affect the ecosystem around it? Now that we've seen where the river starts, let's take a look at where the river ends. Where the river meets the ocean and fresh and saltwater mix is called an estuary. The water movement slows down here and allows for lots of organisms to adapt and thrive in this environment. The water is known as brackish water, and it's a mixture of salt and fresh. That was just one short demo of a 12 to 13-minute video module. Let me review the structure for you. Discussion questions are presented for classroom discussion. It's a natural pausing point for educators to stop and lead a discussion at. The additional resource guide will have potential answers and further research available for educators to feel more comfortable leading a discussion about the question presented on the screen. Specific vocabulary words were highlighted for teachers to refer back to or include in their lessons. These words or phrases are helpful in learning and explaining these concepts. They also aid in the understanding of these ideas presented on the screen. Utilizing visual and auditory academic language is helpful for emerging multilinguals, and really all students. The more the student sees and hears the academic language, the more familiar and comfortable they are with using it. Lastly, a lot of screen time is dedicated to showcasing the beauty of our natural world. I wanted to capture a lot of scenery to provide environmental context, but also present videos that are not just informative, but mesmerizing. I built in sequences for ideas to sink in while viewing natural landscapes and seascapes. Natural wonders and curiosity can lead to connections. I would like to thank and recognize all the people and parties that helped in the creation of this program. My Capstone Advisory Committee for their expertise, feedback, and guidance, my classmates in support for their time, especially those that helped film with me, and the partners who shared their stories and footage, and everyone who made the MAS MBC program possible. I'd like to finish with a quick piece to show the growth of a budding filmmaker. This project proved to be quite the learning experience. I learned how to film, produce, edit, even act in some of these segments, so please take a look. 90% of the watershed, nope. Bubblegum. Got it in my finger. River watershed is really unique because it's like not many. Scramble down. Don't slip.
Okay. Was there anything about that introduction? Okay.
If you'd like to follow along with the process and utilize some of these resources, please check out this website I created. I also made a bunch of social media outlets for you to check out. So take a look. Thank you.
Thanks, Josh. So how is your video module different than showing a nature documentary in class or watching a Bill Nye episode?
I would say that these videos are more inclusive in that they will represent multiple communities and that they've been made with a lot of intention for that reason. There's also the natural pausing points for discussions to be had, and they will come with resource guides and further materials for teachers to utilize.
It looks like we've got a question in the audience.
Have you been in contact with schools who are interested in showing your videos to their students?
So I have a distribution method that I did not get to address in my presentation. I do have some of the people that I surveyed who are interested in utilizing some of these tools so far. So the next step for me is to send them the website and the YouTube videos for them to use in the class with the resource guides. And then I'll get back to you on how they think they went.
Josh, are you considering making any more of these for teachers? And if so, what are some of the future environmental concepts you'd like to film?
Excellent. In my survey, I had an open-ended answer that also was what subjects teachers would like to see. But ones that I have in mind, I'd love to travel to Iceland to talk about seafloor spreading and go to the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. I'd love to go to film at the Great Barrier Reef and talk about coral bleaching and how ocean acidification and global warming is affecting our oceans. So there's a lot of topics I can do. Plus, I'm also happy to repeat some of these topics in different locations because every location has something new to offer.